Okay, I chose the topic of our pregnant daughter didn't want this. So to briefly go over it quickly, this is a 29-year-old female. Her name is Janet. She was married to a man named Jack. She was leaving an OB appointment. They got struck by an elderly couple. Jack, the husband, died on the scene. Janet was transferred to the hospital with brain damage that over time she was pronounced brain dead. Now, she was 5 weeks pregnant at the time, so she was on advanced life care, advanced care planning, all of this going on. What makes this really stand out is that she was a medical professional herself, and she had written out her wishes. And so hers explicitly said, I do not want my life to be extended by means of medically assisted nutrition and hydration, ventilator, or life support. So this was handwritten out in a document, stated clearly what was going on there. So then what happened was she was going to be transferred from the ICU where she had been staying until she was pronounced brain dead, and then her parents had agreed that she would be moved to hospice, terminating life support and letting her pass on her own based on what she was able to sustain on her own without life support. This was going to happen the following morning when a resident opened her chart and saw that she was pregnant. Now, at this point, she's now 9 weeks pregnant, so she's so far from viability, the fetus is. The parents show up. They are ready to, pull life support that day. So they'd obviously already gone through a lot of thought processes. They were aware that their daughter was pregnant, so this was a decision that they made with that. And so, the question then comes in as, what should be done now for Janet and her parents, and on what grounds do we do that? So, in reviewing a few things, we basically have three choices here. It's basically the fetal right to life versus women's autonomy, and that kind of goes back to the stance on abortion too. So it's very similar really in this stance of ethical decisions of what you consider life and whose life you put forth the other. So number one, you can consider the mother as autonomous. So in that case, she wrote out clearly what she wants to do for her own life, and she's autonomous, and so therefore we should go ahead and terminate life support because that's where she stands. Number two, you could perceive her as an incubator and focus on fetal rights. So in that case, we're just maintaining the woman's body after death to be the recipient for the fetus. That's it. She's basically a cadaverous incubator with no autonomous rights. The preeminence is just all focused on fetal rights at this point. Thirdly, we could consider her a voluntary organ donor. In that case, it would be prolonging the mother's life would basically be, she's organ transplant ultimately. So there's three things to consider there. And because we live in a country where abortion is legal, I think that should come into part. So knowing that her parents knew that she was pregnant, her husband had died, so now the only thing in place was her written word, what she wanted. She didn't want to be on prolonged life support. Her parents being now the medical power of attorney over these decisions should basically look at that and go ahead and terminate life. I mean, she was only 9 weeks along, so you would be maintaining her body for weeks and weeks and weeks in hopes that her body would stay healthy enough to maintain this pregnancy. So my stance on it is that the parents have the right to go ahead and terminate. They need to follow what she explicitly written down in her advance directive, that she did not want, again, to reiterate exactly what she said, where they wrote here, that she said, I do not want my life to be extended by means of medically assisted nutrition and hydration, ventilator, or other life support. And so my ethical stance on this is that we go ahead and just honor what she wrote during her life. Thank you.